is to master your live performance. Master your live performance, your live show. Question for you guys. I want to hear from you. What was your first moving, what do you think about this? What was your first moving concert experience? Your first show?
U2.
Live.
It was U2.
Your first show was U2?
Yeah, 81.
Phil Collins.
Fantastic. Phil Collins was your first show.
Spin Doctors.
Spin Doctors. All right, great.
Metallica.
Who's that?
Dire Straits.
Dire Straits.
Yeah.
Great, awesome. What was yours?
Metallica.
Metallica was your very first show. Don't be embarrassed. I'm going to show you guys what mine was in a second. But no one's is more embarrassing than mine, I promise you. So, what was your first show?
Beach Boys every summer.
The Beach Boys, your very first concert. Wow, awesome. What about you, your first show?
Frank Zappa.
Frank Zappa. All right, great. You guys want to know what mine was?
Yep.
It was a Poison concert. Okay? I was 14 years old, Baton Rouge, Louisiana. It was the coolest thing I'd ever seen in my entire life at that point.
Super fast.
It's in my car stereo.
Okay, that's bad. But this is the thing. You want to take yourself back to that night. Think a little bit. What was it about that show that made it so memorable? What was it about that show that made it so special for you?
It was their talent, their presence, how they presented their music. Because you could hear it, but when you see it, it's a totally different thing that clicks at you.
Okay, so it was a different experience in their
How they
presence.
excite you, actually.
How they excite you. What do you think it is about them that had them excite you? What was it about that show?
Get lost in their moment of having them do their music and just kind of ride them along for the ride.
Okay, you go along for the ride and the ride that they take you.
Yeah.
I think it's the moment that becomes real. Like, when you listen to the music, you just think of them like these huge stars, and when you see them live, it's like they're right there, and they become like almost, you feel what they're feeling, they transmit.
You feel what they're feeling because of the energy that they're projecting to you, right? That's what I want to highlight. That what really made it, think about that first night, what really made that night so special was because of the energy that was generated. That's the magic that was created. It's the connection that you felt between yourself and the band, or yourself and the artist. So that's the goal of any live performance. It's to generate energy. It's to facilitate the purest connection that you can between yourself and the individuals in the audience. The music, I feel, is just a medium for that connection. See, I define a live performance as being so in the moment and self-expressed that you perform with complete abandon. As long as you're holding on to something, there's going to be a barrier between yourself and the people that you want to connect to. So, how do you remove the barriers? What do you do? Because the barriers are there sometimes, right? I mean, it's the late setup, the sound, right? A really small crowd, really big crowd. It's not always easy just to clear your mind and be present. So what do you do? Look inward.
Take drugs.
Take drugs. Both of those are probably. I feel like yes, I feel like this is the key. I feel like it's about standing for something greater than just you. See, your live performance is not about you. Like, what do you mean? My songs, I wrote them, I'm singing them. No. Your live performance is not about you. Your live performance is about them. As long as your live performance is about you, then everything you can't control is going to drive you crazy. From the sound to a late setup to general anxiety, everything that you can't control. If your live performance is about you and your ego in some way, you're screwed. that I feel like the way out of that is to transcend that, to stand for something greater than just yourself, like the community of people that are with you in the room. How many of you guys record your live shows? Some of them? All right, pretty good, not bad. Okay. How do you know what you're looking at? How do you know what you should be evaluating yourself on? Yeah.
We have our son go through, like, when he does his performances, not only does he have to look at his performances, but then he finds other artists that he finds to be good performers, and then match that up to what he's doing with his work compared to what they were doing.
Got it. That's a pretty good way to do it, to evaluate yourself and compare yourself specifically to other live performances. Yeah.
I always listen to the audience and see how they're-
Absolutely. Gauge the audience.
We actually record them too, to see their facial expression.
See their expression. Absolutely. It's one of the things you can pay attention to, is to know, what songs do you get the most applause for? What is it about those songs? How can you get all of your songs up to that level? See, this is the thing. Something I've developed is some criteria, because I feel like you need to know what to look for. It's great that you guys record your shows. U2 still gets together after every single show, after whatever it is, 28 years they've been together, and they still talk about every single show. What was strong, what could be improved. They still do it to this day. There was a little snippet in page 6 because the guys from Oasis were actually ragging on Bono and the guys for still recording their shows. But look at U2 and look at Oasis.
Right.
So this is the thing. I feel like you need to know what you're looking at. You need to have some criteria that you can measure to determine the effectiveness of your live show. And so I've developed 13 criteria, things that you can actually measure to determine the effectiveness of your live show. I can't go into all 13 with you guys tonight for time and everything else. But let me give you guys a couple of them. Okay, you guys want this?
Yeah.
Okay. One concept, something you can measure, is what I call external focus. External focus, and what I mean by this is external focus is all about how you project and receive energy. Okay? Like, I feel like your attention can be in either one of two places when you're on stage. It can either be externally, outside of you, or it could be internal. Another spot is with your band. Okay, you can throw energy at them. But I feel like you should be about externally focused about 85% of the time. You should be projecting your energy and receiving it back. Now, the thing is that you want to let the amount of internal or external focus vary depending on the song. See, another concept, another criteria that goes with external focus is eye contact. And what you've got to remember when you're performing to a group of people, you're not performing to the group. You're performing to the individuals in the group. Right now, you're not taking me in as a group. You're taking me in with your eyes, with your ears. And so that's why it's very important that I communicate and make eye contact with all of you. And even if you can't see a damn thing, if it's totally black out there, you've still got to be able to make eye contact with the different areas of the room. We're visual people. Okay? We're there to listen to a show. We're there to see a show. Actually, think about that. How many times do you hear people say, yeah, I'm going to go see a show? All the time. Who says I'm going to go listen to a show? Nobody. They're there to see a show. We're visual beings. And the thing is about internal and external focus, a symptom when someone is too internally focused on stage is when they keep their eyes closed too much. And they keep their energies right here. And the problem with that is that not only if your eyes are closed are you not projecting any energy, you're not receiving it back. But the thing is that I feel like we're saying before, you should let your internal, external focus vary depending on the song. I feel like the more intimate a song is, the more of an internal focus you should have. It'd be a really inauthentic thing if you had this really intimate song and you had this crazy eye contact with people, So you've got to be able to let that vary depending on the song. About 85% external focus, maybe another 5 or 10% internal focus, and maybe another 5 or 10% focused on your band, presenting one unit up there. Another criteria, give this to you guys. One more is your song transitions is one of them. You know, it's what's happening in between the songs. You know, who are you being in between the songs? Is it the same energy that you get when you're in the middle of the song? You know, how in the moment are you when you're up there? Are you able to be kind of spontaneous and kind of, how's your banter with the audience? You know, when is it okay to just take one song and run it right into another one? When do you actually want to say something in order to perk the audience up? Have a live CD of Three Doors Down with one of their shows. And the first time I listened to that CD, right before they play their song Be Like That, he says 7 words. He says, this is a song about following your dreams. It's called Be Like That. And the first time I heard that, I listened to that song from a completely different place. So how can you frame certain songs so that you get people to pay attention to what you want them to pay attention to? And he didn't go into some long-winded story about when he was a kid and what happened to him and all this. No, he said 7 words. And the first time I heard that, I listened to that song from an entirely different way. I was really paying attention to what was going on in those lyrics. It touched me. So in a similar way, how can you frame certain songs to get people to pay attention to your lyrics? And of course, you can't do this before every song. You've got to pick and choose your moments. When is it more appropriate to actually expand a little bit on what you're doing and say a little bit more in between the songs? So you want to do that so that you can frame certain songs and know what's happening in your song transitions. It's a key element to actually creating an experience for people. It's not just about running through songs. Like I said before, they're there to see a show. And the thing is that, you know, it's a great live performance coach by the name of Tom Jackson. And Tom's awesome. He's down in Nashville. He's been doing this thing for 20 years. And what he always says is that audiences are dumb. They're dumb. They don't know what they should be looking at. They don't know what they should be watching. Audiences don't understand major key, minor key. They don't know what's going on with the pedals. They don't have a clue about all of that. But an audience does know human behavior. An audience does know if you're nervous or not. Okay, but how can you make them pay attention and bring certain things forth in your live performance? Another thing that I do sometimes with artists is I actually go with them in the studio with their band and give them one-on-one coaching actually in the studio, moving them around. No, do more of this, less of that. That's how we need to shake things up. Talking with them about the strategy of your entire set, because there needs to be a strategy, if there isn't one, about your songs and ways to change the pressure on the audience to keep them on their toes. A whole bunch of stuff that this is just an absolute art and a science into mastering your live performance. But the thing is what's key about this part is that nowadays, this is where a lot of your revenue is going to come from.
Right.
Okay, it's in the live shows. It's if you can actually be there and really create a lot of moments with people. That's when they're going to buy your CD. It's when they're going to buy your merchandise. You know, you've got them there. That's when you want to touch them, move them. That's what you're there to do. They're to play music to touch and move people. And so it's in the live show that happens. And of course, you know, in the one-on-one work, there are 13 of these principles. I gave you guys 3, okay? But there's more of that in my one-on-one coaching with people. Obviously, I go through that. And it's something you can measure. It's something you can do on a scale of 1 to 10. You know, identify, you know, how do we do in our external focus, that show? Give yourself maybe a 7. How do we do on our, you know, on our eye contact? How do we do on our song transition? Here's another one, the very first live performance criteria. I'll give you guys this and then we'll move on. Is your pre-show ritual. Your pre-show ritual. It's what you do to come from a centered place before you get on stage. And why this is so important is because if you're not centered when you get out there, you're going to try to get centered. You're going to try to be comfortable, and getting comfortable when you're in the middle of your first couple of songs. You guys are with me? You guys ever been in this situation? Then what you do is you're overcompensating. You know, you're trying to get your legs under you there. Okay, but it's so important that whatever you do, that you develop a pre-show ritual. And it can change, it can evolve, of course, but get some things that, you know, if a live performance is all about connecting to other people, how can you do that if you're first not connected to yourself? So it's so important that you ground yourself. Ground yourself in your truth. Ground yourself in your stand. Ground yourself in the message in your music and what you're there for as a way of centering yourself. And do that before every show.